Hello, thank you for joining me. Today I wanted to talk about making necklaces with tatted lace. These may seem like a complicated project, but they really are not. In a previous video I talked about this rings and chains pattern, and this pattern is what this necklace is based on. You're just adding beads with each picot join. So I thought I'd show you how to do those. To start with, I wanted to show you I have 3 different lengths, actually 4 different lengths, excuse me, 3 different lengths of necklace and 1 bracelet length. And you can use a metal clasp. This is a lobster clasp type. One side where you add on to the last ring, and then you join, when you use the clasp, you just join that to your first tatted ring. And one note that I wanted to say here, I don't tend to make a lot of these necklaces with metal findings because I have a metal allergy, which a lot of people do. So I tend to make necklaces that are a little longer that can go over my head, so I don't have to use metal. And the bracelet is also using a metal clasp, and this is actually to work it on yourself is a little cumbersome, but it can be done. So this is the shortest length, and I wanted to note the number of rings in each length. The short length has 40 rings plus 1 to attach your finding to, 40 plus 1. The medium length, which will go over your head, has 64 rings and chains, and the longest version, which is basically just the medium length doubled, has 128 rings and chains. And another way you can utilize this is to hold your glasses if you need reading glasses. I need to wear my glasses all the time, so they're always on my face. But if you tend to use a glasses chain, you could also use your tatted necklaces for this. Okay. I wanted to show you how to begin. The basic pattern that I showed you in a previous video is a ring of 4, 4, 4 picot 4, very small picot 8, reverse, chain, 6 picot chain, join. This pattern that I use for the necklaces is a ring of 8, a longer picot, because you're going to need to put a bead on that bead join, 8, ring, long picot 8, 8, long picot 8, reverse work, chain of 12, and then you do a bead join. Then you reverse your work, do another ring, reverse, chain, repeat. So and this tray here that I have is very helpful for doing this. I bought this many years ago. It's very helpful to organize all your beads, and I tend to lay out my beads and count them out so I know if I'm going to do a medium length necklace, then I will count out beads in groups of 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, so I know how many groups I still have to go. with a size 10 thread, which is what I'm using here today, I use size 6 type beads, any kind that you want, as long as they can fit over your thread and your crochet hook. You want a crochet hook that will go through your bead, and you're able to bring the thread through the bead. All right, so to start with, and I'm going to use 2 colors here. I'm going to use the darker pink for the rings and the lighter pink for the chains. And if you notice, I'm not using an actual ball. I just wound the lighter color onto a shuttle. Going back to a previous video, I mentioned that the shuttle only holds the thread. So by winding the thread on here, this acts as my ball thread. So I just wanted to note that. So you have your 2 shuttles, or your shuttle and ball, and you're going to, and if you are starting with a shuttle and ball, obviously you would not have this cut off the ball. But since I am using 2 different colors, I'm going to tie these together with a surgeon's knot to make sure you have a very secure knot at the beginning. Hold those, and this is the technique of tatting over the ends. So we're going to do a ring, and going back to your pattern, 8 long picot 8. And another thing that I really like about this pattern is you are using beads in the pattern, but you don't have to preload them on your thread. All right, so your first ring, 8. So this is your first one, first stitch. Bring your ends through that loop, front to back, pull up. Second side, bring your ends through the loop, back to front. Pull up, hiding those ends, the second stitch. And with the first 8 stitches, I usually only cover my ends in the first 3 stitches. So I've done 3 here. Pull your thread out of the way, hold your ends, cut your ends off as close as possible without cutting your threads. Finish your last 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now you want to make a picot that's long enough to be able to put your bead over it and still join to it. So a medium-sized picot, about like that, which is like almost a ½ an inch or so. On the first one, if you want to test it, after you've done your first stitch of the second 8, pick up your bead on your crochet hook, hook your picot, and as long as the bead sits on the picot and you still have enough thread here to be able to join, you know it's long enough. So if you can visualize how long that picot is, you know from now on how long you need to make each one. So finish this ring, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 long picot, 8. Close your ring. Reverse your work. Now you're going to use the light pink for your ball thread to do your chain. And this chain is chain 12, bead join to long picot. Alright, so you're going to do your first stitch, pull that as close as possible to the base of the ring. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you want picots on your chains, feel free to put those in. But I like a simpler pattern, so I don't put any picots here except for this join picot. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so now we're going to do the bead join. Pick up a bead, put the bead or put the crochet hook through your picot, slide your bead off the crochet hook onto the picot, pull your shuttle thread through the picot to make your join, pull up enough to be able to put your shuttle through there, pull the shuttle to reduce the loop, make the second half of your stitch to lock that, and you've made your bead join. Very simple in my opinion, once you understand what you have to do. Reverse your work, and it may feel a little weird to have that bead there, but you'll get used to it. Do your next ring, and you start, pull that first stitch as close as possible to the join, second half, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. However you noted how long that picot needs to be the last time, either marking on your finger or using a picot gauge, make another picot that same length. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Close your ring. Reverse your work. Make your next chain, which is 12. 1, as close as possible to the base of that ring. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Do another bead join. Slide your bead onto the picot. Pull your thread through the picot. Make the second half. And if it doesn't sit entirely up next to the bead, it's not going to be that big a deal. You're not going to see it because you're going to be making another join there. You're going to be bringing the ring next to it. So as long as it's mostly reduced here, once you do a few, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Okay, so then the next one is you reverse and do another ring. That's all there is. You just keep doing rings, reverse, do a chain, do a bead join, and reverse and do another ring. Lots of options here. That's what I wanted to show you. This is a white thread with green beads, very striking. This is a variegated pearl cotton with purple beads. This double length, I love this. This is a hand painted thread with ivory beads. And I made a matching bracelet here. This medium length one, I used rainbow colored beads, and when I laid out the beads on my tray, I just laid them red, orange, yellow, green, blue, blue, purple, and used them in the joins in that order. Some more examples. This is a ivory and tan with ivory beads, blue with blue beads, another hand painted thread with ivory pearls, a variegated red thread with red beads. And I wanted to show what red thread looks like with silver beads and black thread with silver beads. And the same pattern can also be used a little shorter and sewn on to a collar. So this is the exact same pattern, but I just did enough rings to follow the edge of the neckline. This is a size 5 pearl cotton, and this is a size 20 tatting thread with seed beads. So you're going to do the same thing. You just need to make sure your crochet hook will go through those beads and still pull up your thread. I hope this video has given you some inspiration and some ideas of things you'd like to make. Thank you for watching.